Welcome to a Neon Jazz interview with Kansas City saxophonist Steve Lambert. Over the course of our interview, he talks about growing up in Sioux City, Iowa, why he came to Kansas City, which was chiefly to go to UMKC and study under the great Bobby Watson, all the gigs he plays lately, his teaching profession, and many other little nuggets of truth. Dig in. First question I got for you, where were you born and raised?
I was born and raised in Sioux City, Iowa.
Now, how did that environment kind of groom you to be really into jazz?
Growing up, I played piano, and when I was in the 5th grade, I started playing the saxophone, and I kind of became attached to it, got a few records, and a high school in town that I would later attend, North High School, had a very established jazz program led by a really well-known, renowned educator, Larry Kaiser. And he was my band director in high school, and I studied privately with him before high school. And he was very much into jazz and has, two sons that are very well-established jazz musicians. Ryan Kaiser, who plays with the Lincoln Center Jazz Orchestra, and his younger brother Justin, who's very fine trumpet player, who's played in New York and Washington and different places like that. But so the scene was kind of there just from being around that and getting to learn and kind of being next to people who are on that level.
So what was the order of instruments you learned? Was piano first, and then how did everything else fall into line?
Piano, and then saxophone, clarinet, and then flute.
Cool. So what kind of influence did your family have on you, on your musical pursuits?
They just supported it. They would let me practice for hours. They tolerated it, basically, and encouraged it, and were, just supportive of what I was trying to do. They could see that I was, really into it, so I would just practice for hours and just do things, and they would, just do whatever I needed, basically.
Very cool. So what brought you to Kansas City was UMKC, I'm assuming?
Yes.
And then what was it like to study under Bobby Watson and Tim Timmons?
That life-changing, basically, just from the standpoint of, coming into a brand new city and knowing that I'm here to play saxophone. I was very serious about it, and they were probably the two people that helped shape me the most early on here in Kansas City. They were, the two professors I was studying with, and showing me what I needed to do, how I needed to do it, and how I needed to approach music and practicing, and just everything, the whole side of things, from master the saxophone to just different skills to know if you're going to be a working musician. And they've between the two of them, they've done it all. So there's just unlimited wealth of knowledge there, and getting to be around that and get to ask questions and just study with them was huge. I wouldn't be doing anything I'm doing now if it wasn't for them.
Right on. So following UMKC, talk to me about the bands and projects you've been involved with over the years. You got quite a list, but just kind of summarize and talk to me about your kind of music journey up to today.
Right now, Kansas City is a great city to be in for music, especially jazz. And we've got a great scene with great people. I get to work as a sideman with a lot of different projects. I've played with Plymouth National New Jazz Order Big Band since the very first time it happened at Harlingen. And I think it's been 6 or 7 years now that I've been in that band. Another band, El Mambo Orchestra, led by Mikel De Leon and Carp Long, those are two of his bands that I've been in for about 6 years. And I'm in a band called Cross Current, led by Sam Leston. That's a Lenny Tristano sort of tribute or dedication band. And I've got my own quartet. I lead the Casey Sound Collective, and I've been very fortunate to get to play with Bram Winans with his trio on occasion at the Majestic, and with the Swing Tech, his 6-7 piece larger band. But and then lots of different sideman work. I work with the David Bassey Septet, just different groups. There's so many great musicians around town, and there's a scene and stuff happening. So people, you can be a saxophonist and your phone will ring on occasion. So it's really nice to have an opportunity to play with so many great musicians and great bands.
Right on. So, what's it like to be a member of the board of the Mutual Musicians Foundation and to be involved with that scene? Does it always hold the magic and have that spark that we all know it to be?
Yes. Yeah, it's an honor, first of all, to get to be a part of that organization. And yeah, that's something. There's another place that was huge in my development and coming to Kansas City. I would just go down to late night sessions all the time. My early years in college, and I still do now. I play the session almost, 3-4 times a month, and I'm there on off nights, just hanging out a lot too. It definitely has that spirit. You can feel that, and the music is what's keeping that going. And there's, a lot of good things going on with the music there. We're playing and going hard every single time we play. We want to, really play and really get into the music, and that's where we go with it. 1 to 5, we really we'll hit it hard, and it feels great. The spirit's there, and you can tell that it's got the energy that has been happening there for years. So it's only right for it to continue, and as a musician in this town and getting to be a part of the board, it's kind of your duty and your honor to see that it continues and see that it continues well. So it's that place is huge, and I love it. And yeah, it's extremely valuable to the city of Kansas City.
Sure. So, in all the projects that you're a sideman and all the gigs that you play in, you have 2 albums, 2010 Subject to Change and 2012's In the Moment. Talk to me about those albums. How have they done? How did it feel to release those as the band leader? Just kind of talk about them a little bit.
They were just small projects. They were fun to do. I wanted to record, and I funded it and just wanted to put together this project. And the first one was with my quartet, Steve Lambert Quartet, which was coming out of college. I think maybe during my final year at UMKC, I started playing at Jardines with this group, and we had once a month, and we had been doing things there. And I had been writing. It was my first band, so we came into the idea. Okay, let's do this record, and we did the record. It was a live record, and it was a lot of fun. And yeah, TJ, Seth, and Matt are all great musicians. They, read my music and were able to get into it and rehearse it. And we had a sound going, so we recorded that, and that's what was on the first one. And then later when the Casey Sound Collective kind of got started, that was another thing where just a different band. I wanted to do something different, and it's a completely different band. So I started writing for that group, and I'm still writing for that group, and we got some tunes together and said we need to record something. Let's put something together, and so that was that project. That was the second project that I put together, produced, did all the graphic design, all the artwork on all the albums. It's all original. They're unique, and I'm proud of them, and from the standpoint that they're completely original, from the music to everything about them.
Very cool.
So, I didn't make a whole lot, and I think you can get them on CD Baby, or you can get them something is I might try and get them out there a little bit more here in the next coming month. I know I've got plans for a third record to be recorded in August and September. So
Cool.
that'll help move those forward too. I'm hoping so.
Right on. So, in your jazz journey, where have you performed around the country?
Well, I've played not too many places, or just here and there, mostly around the Midwest with, in and out of Kansas City, going around, traveling with Miguel de Leon, or doing different things. I've been out to California, to LA and Newport Beach to do a few things. Visited New York and have played up there with some friends on just a few occasions a few years back. I was fortunate enough to get to play at the Kennedy Center in D.C. As a part of the Betty Carter Jazz Ahead residency, which is a 2-week program I took part in 2009, and was able to go out there for 2 weeks and study with a lot of great jazz musicians and educators, and we performed a few concerts at the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C. So there, and I haven't been out of the U.S. yet, but I hope to. And yeah, I'd like to continue traveling wherever it might take me.
Very good. So, where's some of your favorite places to perform here in Kansas City? You've got a long list, and there's and all of them are great venues. But what really stands out is a place that, when you know you're going to go gig there, that you really look forward to it.
The Foundation is definitely right at the top of the list there. For a lot of reasons that I mentioned earlier. I love the room at the Majestic. Downstairs at the Majestic, I think that room has a wonderful atmosphere and sound to it. The Blue Room's great, and the Green Lady Lounge has been around for a couple months now, maybe close to a year. That's got a great room. I love playing everywhere. How to Take 5 Coffee Bar. Jardines was really great. But I think, for me, the home base has always been the Foundation. And that's kind of, the number one sort of spot for me.
So when you get on stage, do you still get butterflies, or it's your job? You just get up there and do it?
It's a job, mainly. I try not to get nervous about it. I usually don't. It's just kind of, once you get into the music, you'll be playing, and that kind of just consumes your head anyway, or at least it should. So that's the space I try to get into whenever I'm playing. If there's somebody in the audience, sometimes that, an elder or peer or whoever, that can sometimes, make you feel a little different, but a lot of times it's good too. It'll just make you play, give you some motivation. So it's all good. Earlier on, when you're coming up, you get nervous, but I don't really experience that anymore.
Good deal. So you touched on the KC jazz scene briefly earlier on. Elaborate a little bit on it. It seems like it's a pretty good group of musicians. Things are going good. There's a lot of clubs. Kind of talk to me about the scene.
I think it's growing, and there's certainly a wealth of really great players in town here. The list goes on and on, and I'm just a lot of good talent, and then like a healthy scene with good clubs where you can go out. You can actually go out in Kansas City 7 nights a week and find some jazz somewhere at one of the various clubs, and with that, there's a lot of good, a solid core of younger musicians, I guess, or my peers that we graduated from UMKC together, and we're kind of out in the scene right now. Everybody's kind of doing their thing and just playing and getting themselves set up. And then that, we've got, some older guys that are amazing and have been huge influences on me. Brom Winans, Everett DeVan, Bob Bowman, getting to go out and hear guys like that. Roger Wilder, just, Joe Cartwright. I mean, a million great musicians that you can go out and see, and if you just sit there and listen, you're going to learn something. And it's just being part of the community and being part of the scene. Aside from just playing your instrument or playing your gigs, I think it's very important to go out and hang and go out to other musicians' gigs. It's very, Bobby Watson used to say, it's a social art form. You need to take part in your community because it's very important. And we have that in Kansas City. It's very clear.
Right on. So talk to me about what you're most proud of. Professionally, personally, what accomplishments over the years are you most proud of?
Oh, I don't know if I've accomplished. Hopefully, I'm going to be accomplishing more. I was, proud to get to be a part of the Betty Park residency in 2009, and getting just to come down to Kansas City and study with Bobby Watson and Tim Timmons, and graduating from grade school at IGMKC. Proud of that, and just proud and humbled just to be in this city and get to work and get to play as much as I do. And we've got some new things starting up. I'm co-leading and kind of leading the Foundation 627 Big Band, which is a new big band formed out of Foundation. We just had our first performance, so we've got lots more lined up for the rest of the year and then on into the future. And I'm proud of the release with Casey Sound Collective and in my previous record as well. So I just hope to continue to build from there and hopefully watch the scene grow and just get to be a part of a lot of great music with a lot of great people.
Sure. So let's say we have a conversation here in, say, 20 years from now, and I ask you the same question. How would you like that answer to be?
Well, hopefully, I can get some more records down and get around the world a little bit and just get to play with new people and experience music more. If you never know where this music will take you, and especially nowadays, as long as you can, just play your instrument and give yourself an A for effort and know that you're putting your heart into it, it's going to take care of things it should. If you take care of the music, it will take care of you. And it's kind of the belief I've operated on. So hopefully 20 years from now, going and playing and continuing that belief will lead me into some exciting things. And I'm certainly going to try and make that happen for myself, too.
Right on. So, in any craft, your influences are huge in shaping and forming who you are and who you kind of emulate. If you could go back in time and meet one jazz musician, either with us or not with us, who would it be and why?
John Coltrane. Because he's, a huge influence on me. I love his music, and as far as I think personally, I would like to know how he thought, some of his perspectives. He obviously was a very, 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 very deep spiritual individual, and he made some of the greatest music that I've ever heard. So, for those reasons, if I had to pick one, there's several, but he kind of just jumped right to the front of my mind there. And yeah, for good reason.
So who are some other musicians that you like and who have really kind of formed your musical tastes?
Just a ton. A saxophonist. You can go just down a list of, tons of guys. I love Dexter. Dexter's huge. I love Dexter Gordon, Sonny Rollins. Any of those greats. I love Booker compositionally, and just playing-wise, I love Charles Mingus. I love everything about him. I love his band. I love all his writing. He is probably one of my favorite jazz musicians, favorite musicians, composers, just period. Charles Mingus is huge. Duke Ellington, I mean, when you actually start to get into it, you can see all these things. There's such a large body of work that all these people left and created, and they dedicated their lives to that. Their life was their music. You can see their life and hear their life in their music. And coming into that realization, I just realized there's just so much out there. You can't even scratch the surface, and once you do, you find out. You start to see more and more. And so looking, all those jazz greats are hugely influential, and I listen to their music daily. So it's like religious in a sense.
Nice. So, at this point in your life, would you have done anything differently?
Yeah, a few things, but musically, you just never know. I mean, all plans are subject to change. Stuff can happen, and things just kind of come out of nowhere from time to time. But the one thing that hopefully doesn't change is like you and your instrument, and you and your music. That will always sustain you, and that's always sustained me through different periods of adversity or whatever it might be throughout life. But I'm as far as I love Kansas City. I'm very happy I came here and everything, so I don't really have any regrets. Just I continually try and put my faith in music.
Very cool. What was the last song or album you listened to before we talked today?
The last thing I listened to, Sweet Sucker Dance, which is a composition by Charles Mingus and Joni Mitchell. And it's a tune that I've been really getting into, sort of basically obsessed with lately. And it's on a Joni Mitchell record entitled Mingus. And then there's another version of the Mingus Dynasty playing it, and yet another version of the Mingus Big Band playing it. So that's what I've been listening to. Sometimes with a piece of music or something, especially as heavy as that song and that composition is, you can't just listen to it once. I'll get into it for a week or a couple weeks and just learn the lyrics, transcribe it, learn it, and just know it. And so I guess that was the last thing I was listening to. I've been going back to that tune a lot lately.
Very cool. So, no matter how big you get, there's always some kind of feeling you get when you give out your autograph. What was it like for you? What is it like for you when someone asks for your autograph?
Very humbling, really. I think I've maybe given out two. So at this point, it's nice. It's really nice to know that there are people that enjoy the music, because that's what it's all about. I mean, the artist exists and musicians. I mean, we exist, but for ourselves, yes, we love doing what we do, but we exist for the audience. It is for them. I mean, when you get down to it, and they're so important, such a huge part of it. It's a give and take thing between the musician and the audience. It's a shared thing, and it's so anytime someone expresses gratitude for what you do, you feel gratitude for them, and it's very nice. I appreciate the audience, and I think the audience is very important.
Right on. So, over the last 20 plus minutes, I've kind of asked you about your life and to give me a synopsis of what's going on and who Steve is. Let's get this to the brass tacks here. Let's define you in the length of a tweet, 144 characters. Tell me who you are.
Well, I'm a musician and an artist, and I'm a teacher, and I try to dedicate my life and what I do. I try to do it as best I can, and try and help people along the way in be honest and true and just play. And, you know, when you play, give everything you got towards it. Put your heart into each note and mean what you say behind everything. So that's what I try to do and take into life, is just mean what you say. You know, do things right and try and careful actions, careful words. It's all like playing a solo. You know, you have to play a solo like you're living your life when you're improvising.
Yeah.
And so each note is important, and each note has feeling and meaning. And so I guess that's kind of who I am. This music, it pretty much is my life.
Right on. Well said. Hey, Steve, thanks for taking your time out today, and keep on keeping on. It's good stuff, man.
Oh, thank you very much, Joe. I really appreciate you and everything you're doing.
Absolutely. Take it easy.
All right, you too.
Thanks. Thanks for listening and tuning in to yet another Neon Jazz interview, where we give you some insight into the finest players in Kansas City and around the world these days. And thanks to Steve for his time and insight into his fine playing. If you want to hear more interviews, go to Famous Interviews with Joe Domino on the iTunes Store, or you can visit all things Neon Jazz at theneonjazz.blogspot.com. Until next time, enjoy the music, my friends.
Neon Jazz.